Hello, Hytham. I think you're missing the big picture, or the picture at all, in many respects. Um, First of all, um, on the pens, I'll talk about that. That's a simpler thing, or I don't know if it's simpler. I'm going to start with that though. I'll talk about engineering the economy in a moment. But with the pens, you're missing many key points. Okay, first of all, that specification that the government gives that a pen should write for a mile, that's not a specification for pens in general, privately made. Okay, that's not an element of control. The market, the government, which is a huge market, a huge buyer for office supplies, specifying what it needs. Obviously, it does have to do that. I mean, these pens and the record books and all of these things, these are on nuclear submarines and, in battlefields and in the post office. And these are places where they need to be reliable. There needs to be a certain amount of specification that they adhere to. Okay. So the issue you totally missed is that my issue with the pens is that I would like to buy them. They're already made for the government. I would like to buy them. Not only do I like those pens, but I like that the jobs go to blind people that can be and obviously are productive, but have trouble in our economy left to their own just natural unplanned devices. Unplanned by us, planned by others, planned by the people creating the market for those jobs. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so I would like to buy them. I am also a part of the market, and you are trying to counteract my demand as an individual piece of the market to have access to those pens. Now, I believe in market economy, as I've said 1,000 times to you. And I believe that the private market, if they had to compete with those pens, if those pens could just be bought in their brown, paper boxes at Office Depot, I have no doubt that the private industry would come along, also be able to make the pens at competitive prices with the little rubber grip or whatever it was that they would add on to it innovation wise. But for items like pens, ballpoint pens, that don't really require a huge amount of innovation, sometimes the market is no longer the driver. It's because it doesn't need innovation. It's already been optimized, the production, right? It's the need that is the driver. But you want to use the market should decide language, but then you want to ignore the fact that the governments are probably, well, they're definitely the biggest single buyer uh, of uh, of office supplies. So they are part of the market. And the people deciding what's good enough for the government to use, they have to specify what those standards are. Okay. And I am a part of the market and I want access to that product. It's already being produced, already being bought with my tax money. Why can't I use my private take home money to buy them? All right. Now, in terms of the planned economy rhetoric, look, I said that retired people on a fixed income ought to have a fixed economy to access. That this gives us an extra amount of control so that if the price of some commodity starts to skyrocket, instead of just giving the people that have to buy it more money to buy it, you can do something about controlling that price. You can produce them cheaper, like in the case of pens, or perhaps you will simply subsidize the price in that area, and that saves you having to raise everybody's Social Security benefits because instead you've given them a place to acquire it at a price fixed to the amount of money that they're receiving. Now, you took fixed and related that to planned. But then when you get to planned, you start thinking about planned economy and all the framing, centralization, communism, socialism, uh, top down controls. Okay, but I didn't use the word planned economy. I will defend the fact that we have to plan the economy, okay, as a word, plan being a word, but as a framework of all of these other things that go well beyond planning, you know, I'm not bringing that into the argument. You are. So if you get confused by the rhetoric and what it sounds like to you, which it seems to me that you are, then that's really rather your problem. Okay. You say that you believe in the markets and markets can do good work and they just need to be regulated. Well, how is that not planning? How is that not engineering? The market, a market is a part of the engineering in the economy. It's one of the cogs, it's one of the spokes and the rods, it's one of the pulleys. You understand? It's one of the components in your economy that you have at your disposal when you sit down and try to engineer a good system. Now, you complained about this analogy or metaphor of mine as the economy as a way to distribute resources, nutrients, if you will. But this is not by far not one of the more abstract metaphors around. This is practically literal. That is what it is for, so that we could get goods around and trade them and have the interchange and get them to different locations where they need to be used. So I can't really fathom your objection to that. And in terms of the language, I don't understand at all where you are coming from, other than getting sort of confused by the framing involved. By the word planned economy, you're against planned economies. Planned economy, of course, there's going to be some planning. I don't believe in centralized, top-down, fully fixed economies. I don't believe we should live in just a fully fixed economy for all goods. But I do believe that some areas we can use the principles of a fixed economy, specifically in the areas of commodities, and in the areas of things like pensions, where people are on a fixed income, and it would be beneficial to society to provide them with fixed sorts of prices and access to those basic commodities that they need to survive. Okay. Now, you want to act like, oh, planned economies have failed. But come on, think about the language. You also want to design the economy. You also want to plan it. That is called engineering, you know, right? Intentional construction according to principles of construction. That is engineering. Okay. So that's why I'm using the word engineering. If you think, oh, an engineered economy in your mind shoots to Stalin, well, if one guy engineers a bridge and he's full of shit and the bridge falls down, that does not discredit engineering. It discredits him as an engineer. It does not discredit the very process of planning construction based on principles of construction. Okay. So I would like an answer that takes these back into account, specifically on the pen thing, because you seem to have diverted the issue consciously or unconsciously. The fact that, one, the government, of course, can specify what quality of goods it needs to purchase, right? And is a market force because it's buying that stuff on behalf of the people that own that government. Okay. And two, that I am a part of that market, and you seem to be resisting my desire to be able to have access to a product that is already made in my country and purchased with my money. Okay. I spend thousands of dollars a year in taxes. I'm buying pens with that money, right? My money is already doing that. Okay, why can't I join in as a customer in that particular market? What is the justification for that? Okay. And on the other hand, this issue of just purely semantics. You too want to engineer an economy. I have told you I believe very much in free market. But, one of the problems with the Ayn Rand, ultra-conservative kind of laissez-faire attitude towards markets is that the government should have nothing to do with them. Okay. I don't think I know that's not what you think. You think government can have something to do with them. But I'm pointing out that there is no such thing as a market without regulations that standardize products, that provide infrastructure to get to the common trading place that we call physically the market, right? It requires that. To have no rules about the market is like having a monopoly board and all the pieces, but no rules. It's not a game of any sort, let alone Monopoly. Okay. What creates the game, the economy, are the regulations, the production of money and tokens and the elements of the infrastructure that support the possible moves in that system. Cheers.